Hey Gemini, what's going on? We are here with a timeless reading. Welcome. The first card that we have out is the Emperor. When we have the Emperor come up, there can be themes that are connected with responsibility, discipline, pragmaticism, building, forethought, awareness, organization. When it comes to what it is that you've been holding on, there can be a review that's happening connected with this. Because we have the Emperor, I would say that this is something that you would see as being something that you've been using to build within your life. This being reviewed, so you can be seeing where you've been holding things tightly, and you can also be seeing what you have been using your energy to hold on to. Is what this feels like it's coming down to. Because Emperor is really going to be where you've been applying yourself. And Four of Pentacles is feeling to me like what you've been using your energy to keep hold of. But when we have Four of Pentacles, it sometimes alludes to like just because you're able to keep something or to hold on to something, when you take a deeper look at it, is it really worth it to you to be doing that? Now we also have Eight of Cups here. And so this can be questioning what you feel happy with, what you may not feel happy with, and what you want to do, what you don't want to do. What feels worth it to you to be holding on to and making the effort versus what doesn't. And if you want to keep doing that or not. Four of Pentacles can be to a lot of effort that we put in to hold something, to keep hold of it and to maintain it. But having Hermit and having Eight of Cups, you can be looking at these things that you hold on to and asking yourself, is it really worth it to me to be doing this? And I go through these motions of sort of holding on to these things or maintaining these things. And when I think about it, is it really bringing what I want into my life? Or am I just doing this out of habit at this point? And this can be certain ways that you go about doing things. This can be certain habits that you do, ways that automatically you may just move a certain way because of that being your way of sort of keeping things around. And when you check in about it, you can be like, do I feel like happy with doing that? It's not, I don't even think that it's even solely based off of the results of things, which I do feel like that's part of this, but it can also be like, am I happy with the efforts that I have to go through in order to maintain certain things? Like, does that feel good to me? Do I feel satisfied with even that aspect of the process? And if that's not the case for certain things, it can really be the time where you stop doing that after reviewing. And you can feel like rather than having to chase things around and pin them down and grab hold of them, you can feel like this is you doing your part of opening yourself up to allowing things to come in that you want. But this isn't an abandoning of going after what you want, and it's not an abandoning of upkeep of the things that you want. This is more so like allowing both the masculine and the feminine energy to be balanced here, to come into more of a place of balance. And knowing that if you are doing things in a light that feels truly authentic to you and what feels right to you, that certain things may fall away. Yes, certain things may collapse, sure. And also too, things can come in, things can arrive that are meant to be there. So it feels like that balance between that holding on to the things you want to hold on to, releasing the things that you look at and it's time for those things to be released, all just by acting on what feels truest to you and what feels authentic to you, rather than trying to force or create or to show up in a certain way that may not be totally reflective of your authenticity. This is about truly aligning with that authenticity and knowing that what comes and what goes is going to be part of that alignment that's happening here. Because you may have been putting a lot of effort into something and maybe neglecting this aspect of your feminine energy, which is not just like, I'm tirelessly holding these things and going after these things and doing this and doing that. This feels like you're also making a move to embrace this aspect of the Empress, which is going to naturally attract the things that you want. Rather than feeling like the only way I can get things that I want is by like going after them and capturing them, the Empress is going to be that siren energy of calling something in, of calling things your way. And all that you have to do in order to do this is to just be yourself. That's really it. In a way that feels true to you. So there's no like faking, pretending. There's no forcing yourself to be doing these things that you don't want to be doing, just in hopes of keeping something around. This is like when you're acting on your true authenticity, what comes and what goes. And feeling empowered too by that, because you know that what's coming through and also what may be remaining is what chooses you. Not just you feeling like you're the one that's constantly choosing things and then trying to maintain it. It feels like there will be mutual choice there. Because again, it's not about abandoning the energy of the Emperor. It's about simultaneously embracing the energy of the Empress, rather than just being lopsided with the energy. An Empress is one that's going to allow. And this is the challenge. I think for you, in order not to just like micromanage, and you can say like in general, you don't really see yourself as being that character, but when we have the Emperor here, there can be like a forceful way, even within the words that we choose to use. Like, is it going to be like this? Is it going to be received like that? This can be more so of a, does this really ring true for me? And you may have to allow things to sort of go out the window to see what's going to happen. Because Emperor can come through and be that part of you that makes moves to be like, I want to know that there's a plan. I want to know that this is happening. I want to know that that is happening. Like, this is what I decided in my head how things were going to be. And so it needs to sort of follow that. This is about allowing for that feminine energy to come through and guide a little bit more. So rather than you just deciding everything as far as what the plan is and how this is going to go and how that is going to go, allowing the Empress to come through feels like this is the, like, let me see where this is naturally flowing and then what I can do with that. I feel almost like letting the Empress energy be like the first one that's being considered, and then the Emperor is going to be following, which means sort of seeing what's playing out and what's arriving and what's there to work with, and then figuring out what you're going to do with it, rather than figuring out what you're going to do and say like, this needs to be here, that needs to be here. This feels more like letting the things be there and then you figure out what you want to do based off of that. It feels like what could have been happening before was that you were saying, I'm going to be painting a picture today and I'm going to need these certain colors. And the energy of the Empress is like what material actually shows up. And you may have made a plan before you saw that material. And so your plan is based off of something that's not congruent with the material that you have. And so this feels like, allow the material to present itself, then do your thing. Then figure out what to do with that. Whereas I feel like this has been happening kind of backwards lately, is the vibe that I'm getting from this. And it can be leaving you feeling Left wanting. Yeah, I just keep intuitively getting this feeling of saying, this is the structure that I'm going to build before you see what the material is. And then it's like you're over here trying to like make that thing happen. And if you will just pause and see the material first and then say, based off of this material that I have, what am I going to build? It's going to be a different process, because I feel in a way like things are collapsing because you had your agenda first, and then you're like trying to get the material to fit to your agenda, when really you need to allow your agenda to fit with the material. It's like saying that you want to make a certain recipe, but you haven't seen the ingredients, and then being like, well, I hope that these ingredients can work. And then it's like the recipe is a disaster. You need to look at the ingredients first and then see, and then that's when you get your choice of what you want the recipe to be based off of the ingredients. You have to base it off the ingredients. So you have to the ingredients are the feminine energy, the Empress. Those are the ingredients. The Emperor is going to be what you do with them. So if you have the Emperor showing up first and saying, this is the plan, before you see the ingredients, it's not going to work unless you're just really lucky and it just happens to have the right ingredients for your plan, which sometimes it does, but this feels like that's not what's happening in this scenario. It feels like what's been happening is saying like, I want this recipe and this is what I'm going to do. And then you get ingredients that aren't for that type of recipe. And then you're like, why didn't it come out right? And why do I feel unsatisfied with the product, with the result of this? And that's where this has been coming from. I feel like this is just unlocking that the energy needs to be sort of, I feel like which energy shows up first is going to be part of this. That before it was like the Emperor showing up first and then creating the plan, when really we need the Empress first prior to the Emperor being there. Otherwise, it's going to be like building something that lacks the elements needed to build that thing. You have to see what you're working with first and then decide from there. Rather than trying to force it to your agenda. The thing is that your say doesn't go out the window. You get a bunch of ingredients and there are lots of different recipes you can pick from with the relevant ingredients that you have. And then everybody can be happy. It's like the elements are showing up to be using them, and then you get to decide what type of recipe you want to make. And then the elements are being used properly. What's showing up is being used properly, and then you're forging it into what you want it to be. So then you feel satisfied because you made a plan based off of what was presenting itself to you, and that can actually happen because you have the right ingredients there. And that's really how you can pull things off. I feel like there's lots of stuff that can be said, but that's actually the gist of it, and I feel like the main point. And so I feel almost like it would be, why need to break this down further when I feel like the entire concept has been understood within the reading? I do feel like you may need to allow some type of plan that you had as the Emperor before you saw the ingredients. I feel like you need to let go of some type of plan that you devised before you saw the ingredients. You have to allow the ingredients to present themselves to you and then make the plan. So the plan that you made before you saw the ingredients that does not align with the situation, you need to let that go. That's part of what needs to be released here. There can be a part of you that doesn't want to because you committed to it, but that's what needs to be done here. This is you're going to be better off for this, and it's going to allow you to not be stuck in this confusing process of like, why are my plans not working? And it's going to allow you to actually create plans as the architect that actually come out the way that you want them to. But there needs to be that receptivity here. Because all Emperor is all planning, organizing, action being taken, and being out of touch. So you're doing things, and then those things fall apart. This is going to allow for the feminine touch that is needed here, of I'm receptive to the ingredients, and then I take the ingredients and do what I want with them. Rather than I'm doing what I want and I'm disregarding the ingredients and I'm just trying to make them be, because the ingredients, they have a nature to them. And you cannot deny that. And trying to make a plan while denying that, the whole thing is going to fall apart every time. So that's really ultimately the key. And so anything you were doing prior to switching things around in this way, you need to let go of it and reorient things in this way, and this will allow you to be successful. It's not that you're not a good emperor. It's not that you can't have a vision and make things happen. It's that it's missing the key element of the Empress. You need that feminine energy to be there. You need that receptivity. Without it, this is not going to work. So any plan that you may have committed to prior to this point where you were not looking at the ingredients first, even though you can say, like, I committed to that, it needs to be let go of because it's not going to work anyway. And you come back to the drawing board and you look at things in this way, where there's that differentiating order here to things. And that's what's going to allow things to come to fruition in the way that you want. But only when that is happening. So there's a part of you that may be making a small sacrifice now of, well, I had a different plan for this. You let go of that. You look around, you see what you have. Create a plan with that, with now the relevant ingredients. And then what you do is going to work, okay? That's that. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.